Okay, we're back. Again, on Thursday, I had a great discussion with Chris Condren about dynamic bounded contexts. So basically, allowing ad hoc indexing and locking and concurrency based on what's in the events. So really unwrapping some of the internals of the way databases already work, but exposing that um, for your own benefits directly in how you automate your systems. So anyway, hopefully that was interesting. I still think I need to edit that video down to something shorter, but if you want to see it, look at the past recordings here. Again, Chris Condren is a expert in event sourcing, so good idea to see his take on a lot of this stuff. But I want to continue on with our system. So on Wednesday, we got to the closing registration part, which is still outstanding. We actually finished this slice here, which was really about someone registering themselves. And we actually need to kind of show a screen for if someone tries to register after some other person, one of the organizers closes the registration. We want to show a failure here and just this kind of show what the screen should look like when that happens, and that's about it. So anyway, I really want to get through the rest of the system within the next couple of weeks here so that we can start to experiment on other things. So I'm going to just try to kind of be the cowboy coding person here and just show how event modeling and event sourcing can keep the explosions to be very small, mitigate the risk of someone doing cowboy coding. How does this approach save you from either inexperienced people, bad actors, etc.? So again, I keep saying that the strength of your system is just how do the weakest links in in your organization affect your overall integrity of the system? And I think with event sourcing, you have the best possible way to mitigate those risks from things not being done to a certain level of quality, etc. So I'm not proposing that you lower your quality on purpose to go higher. What I'm proposing is that you don't, in the real world, you don't always get to work with the top experienced people in the field. You have real life happening to you. You got to work with all sorts of people. There may be differences in opinion and other things, and you need to have a system that's not brittle that'll allow that. A lot of times we said, oh, well, we need good unit testing. We need good TDD. Everyone must do TDD. Everyone must do X, Y, or Z. So some of those things are a lot harder to force on a team or get people to agree to do together. I think event sourcing is a little bit easier because it's, especially when you have this approach that I'm trying to show here, really just capturing the data as it comes in, and that being your only source of truth. It's kind of easy to establish that as the only rule to follow, and the fewer rules to follow you have, the better. And so in event sourcing, we have, basically one core design pattern, which is map reduce. You're just reducing what happened in the past and projecting that for whatever purpose you want. If you want to change the system in some way, you have to look at the state, and the state is done again in the same way, just reducing the past. So yeah, and of course you can optimize this later if things are going on for too long. You can figure out from a business or technical perspective how you want to tackle some of these inefficiencies, but at the core they don't change how your system works. So let's continue. Let's try to bulldoze our way through the rest of this. We do want to design a little bit more here. So what we want to do is give ourselves a little more room on this side. And after we're done the system, I really want to look at building our own open source event modeling framework. Not framework, but kind of like a tool, a browser embedded tool that would allow us to, why is this not selecting? Okay. Let me try that again from a little bit more of a zoom out area. So I'm trying to give myself a little more room here on this side. So let's see if we can move these over a bit. I'm going to hold down Shift to move it sideways and then zoom out again. Okay, so now we have a little more room here. So we can put in close registration and participant registration failure, we can do that. You can copy both of these. Yeah, control copy, paste, and then well, it's going to take forever to move over, so let's just do it this way. So, and shift up, make sure it's kind of aligned. Yeah, so I can just say at the end here, failure. Okay, what do we do when we fail? Again, we'll have the same screen as this. Let me turn off, oh, actually it's in the wrong screen. I pasted this to the wrong area. I wish there was a right-click move to layer, but there isn't. I have to cut and paste this to be able to do that, unfortunately. So Control X, now we go to the proper level, and Control V to put it back. Now when we turn off the progress, see, close registration's also got that same problem. Okay, so just take close registration, cut it. Oh, we're on the proper level now, so Control V should get it back to the right level. Let's just zoom out and see if there's any more of these mistakes that I made here. Progress. So if we turn off progress, we see that it's really only the progress part that is appearing and disappearing. Unless I'm missing something, but yeah, no, it looks good. And if I turn off the event model, we see that it's only that. Turn off progress, we only see the event model. And on this side too, I believe, progress, there's no progress here. The event model disappears in its entirety. Good. Okay, so what we want to do here on this part is design the screen for this failure. Probably going to be shorter. So we're probably going to have, I think the other thing we need to do is kind of add a bunch of submenus here for the session, but I'm guessing this is good enough for the participant. I'm not sure if we want to continue to show the URLs across here. We'll make a decision later about that. So we'll take this, and I'm guessing, yeah, so this is your welcome to whatever. We also didn't have a congratulations page. So we actually need to move some of these things over a little bit. I think this one we need to move over just, oops. Hold down Shift to keep it aligned. Yeah, we need a congratulations page here. And then the close registration will be here, and then the failure we can show there. So we also forgot to, let's turn on the progress, because we kind of need to move this over to be here. We kind of don't have enough room still, so let's move this over to be kind of the same width. And I want them to be the same width, so we'll move this over here, and then select these guys and move them over as well. Okay. Let's just make sure we have it aligned. So try that again, and just holding down Shift so we keep it aligned. And that's good enough. I'm not sure if this is aligned. Looks like it's sort of is aligned. I don't know if it'll align. Where's my snap? View, tags, scratchpad, ruler, grid. Not sure if we had it aligned to the grid. I guess it is grid aligned. Okay, that's better. And then I can turn the grid off. And so if I Copy this. This is on the progress side. So copy that and paste it. And just move it up and then move it over. Have that. I think we have, yeah, so we have two things outstanding. We have this congratulations page. We have this welcome thing here. Control copy and paste, and then we just move it up and over here. I'm gonna have to move the labels up there a bit. That's good, and now we have that in the background. You can see that this is still not moved over enough. Unlike Miro, the selection is only what's in the box. In Miro, by default, anything that touches the selection box is selected. One difference if you're using Miro. Again, if you are wanting to join the chat, it's the Discord has our Discord server has a live stream chat. I don't know if I can actually hook up OBS and restream to Discord so that we can stream this in Discord for people. I haven't figured that out, but if you know if that's a thing to do, whether it's a good idea to do or possible, let me know, and I'll add this to also be available in Discord. But anyway, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and LinkedIn is where you can see this. All the comments that you make in terms of, they get treated as chat, so they'll pop into the chat here. So go ahead and ask a question if you have one in any of those platforms. So here we want to say thank you for registering, right? So that, do we want to give them any more feedback in terms of, I guess we don't need to give them the, this is where we start to have this registration ID follow you around, right? So I think this is where we want to specify that, you know, this, we have it here as our URL. Not sure why that screen is a little bit higher than that one, but whatever. Have it up here and move it over a bit. Okay, that's good. So now we want to copy that. And here we want to give the URL. Actually, let's paste it. Move it over. Oh, shoot. That's better. And let's move that over here. I'm keeping it green for the status codes that we, I don't know if it's good convention here, but I guess you could have a status code here. So we don't need this other registration part here anymore. And delete, and we can also say continue. This is just a navigation. It's not adding any new information, so we don't want it to be blue. We highlight things in blue when they change state, when there's a post of something. So here it's just a navigation. You could also just hit voting up here. But this this fill here is nothing. Apply, that looks good. Thank you for that. And they know to continue. And over here, of course, that URL, which we go to, is going to have the number that we have here. So we're going to assume that our registration ID is a way that we Okay, what's going on here? Why is it not? Oh, maybe it's flowing over to the next line here. So if you just make it, oh, and it's also, yeah, pasting it with where's our Kate register? Oh, I don't want to delete that. I like Kate Editor in Kubuntu. It's one of the nicest editors. Better than Notepad++. At least I like it better. Yeah, lots of good stuff and lots of tools for like running scripts right inside here. So if you have some sed scripts or other things, it's really nice. It's kind of a very geeky text editor. So, one of my favorites. I just use it here right now just to paste the drop, to quickly drop the formatting. Although I could use Xclip to pick out the text version of the clipboard. No, I'm not going to do that. It's just a little bit easier. So here, oops, continue the struggle with this. So register, and then we can just delete the rest of the stuff. This should do that. And then if I go shift all the way that and delete, we're good. Move this up a bit, just have that little bit of a space. Pardon me. Sure if I'm sick or allergic to something, but hopefully not. Anyway, thank you for registering is our next screen. Good. I think we can shrink that back down to be reasonable and continue. So this again is going to get the name, which we have here. We showed that this actually is linked to, this green part here. We could actually connect, if we had that as a, sometimes I like to have these messages as an item, which I think I should have it as an item. I take this and just, okay, it's got some text in there. So if I just double click on that, and instead of having it as part of the text of the actual screen underneath, I can put that in here, paste that, and that should be much better than that. So we can just keep, I think I have the menu up there as part of it. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't think I have anything really in there, but that's fine. That's good enough just to get rid of that. So this is going to be better. We can copy that. Delete all that. Escape here. Paste over. The reason I wanted this to be its own thing is now I can basically say that, yeah, this green box is kind of like what populates that, you see? Maybe move it over a little bit to the side so that like that. Yeah, I don't know why that arrow was behind that one. We're on that right level. And I mean, just to be complete here, I could do this. Okay, so one thing I did is I had to rerun Cursor AI, which is VS Code, because we had an update, which I didn't update Cursor for a while. So this is kind of the new stuff that we'll see. So agencies exit terminal codes, can run commands in background, and commands are now editable. This is really cool. So that anytime there's new features for the terminal in Cursor, I really like that. That's really awesome. YOLO mode, probably you want to run in a Docker container or a VM. If you're going to allow Cursor to automatically run your terminal commands. Probably want to have a snapshot of a VM before you go YOLO on this. Oh, why am I not using Miro for modeling? Good question. A lot of reasons. First of all, it's proprietary. There's no copy paste. B, there's no way for me to support open source projects with Miro. I mean, you can't store a Miro diagram in the root of a repository. So I still use Miro at clients. Like if clients have Miro already in their organization, they're using it, totally fine, I'll use it. But for this open source project, it's just ridiculous to use Miro. You know, the other tools have their problems, but it's okay. The price of freedom, right? I can actually do whatever I want. It actually is easier to automate a lot of the stuff in Draw.io because this whole structure is just XML. So I can manipulate the XML a lot easier. I can also add attributes more easily there, and they show up in this interface too. So, you know, for open source projects, actually I'll be presenting this project and kind of like how to manage open source projects using event modeling and event sourcing at Linux Fest Northwest. That's coming up in April, one of my favorite conferences. So I'll be there presenting on this again, just kind of an update from last year. I presented there last year and they were happy to have me back, and I was happy to be there, of course, and support them. And it's one of my, yeah, like I said, one of my favorite conferences ever. Lots of good friends that I've met over the years there. So looking forward to that. But anyway, before I get distracted, it's actually a good topic. I don't want this line here. So my style here, I have to say, you know, style, if I get distracted even more, we want this set as default style. And now hopefully when I make a new arrow, it'll do it the same way, right? And it does. Okay, good. So I don't know why that's not coming up to the front, but arrange, bring to front. See it now. Okay, so now we can sort of see that, you know, this this particular thing here kind of shows us this. A lot of times we can move some of these other things around a little bit to just make it not get in the way. Drawing arrows is a big problem. I mean, when you're doing your own event modeling or any other kind of flowchart stuff, you're going to have arrows as a big issue. Another thing that we do when we go really fast, we know the conventions for what's in here, and we don't even draw the arrows. Like once you get really good at this, you won't be drawing a lot of arrows. The conventions that you develop will tell you exactly what's going on. So yeah, but Jeffy Joe, thanks for the question. That's a good one. The reason I'm not using Miro is because it's proprietary, and that just doesn't play well with open source. So there's other things. There's an API limit in terms of Miro. You can only get 1,000 objects back. I think Martin, who wrote the event sourcing book, which includes event modeling in it, so this one here, he has solved the 1,000 item limit on the API. Yeah, of course. So Jeffy Joe is saying that, yeah, they've been using Miro, as he says in the chat here, and so have we. And yeah, there are like search replace doesn't exist in Miro, which is awful. Like here, at least I can have search replace, or I can make a very quick script to change it in the XML and things like that. So yeah, but at the same time, there's a whole bunch of new tools for event modeling that are coming out. After this, I'm going to be changing the project to really be kind of like, okay, how do I make a better editor? As you can see, this is very opinionated. It almost looks like you could fit these things into Excel, into spreadsheet cells, right? Like you could have a spreadsheet with each of these cells having multi-line text and things like that. So it's highly opinionated, like where things go. So it doesn't really need a canvas. And so what Jeffy Joe here is talking about is really, yeah, the fact that we're needing to kind of work around the fact that we're working on a canvas of sorts, right? There is definitely like, this is highly opinionated. Up here, you go left to right and things kind of fit in onto a timeline. These specs here for given when thens and given thens, they are also grids. Like this kind of editing is probably not best suited to a canvas, right? I know Yordis is working on a tool for this that looks like a canvas, but it's just divs that are all aligned in the HTML, just a regular web page. I'll be doing the same to have an open source one. There's a whole bunch of other people. I think Sam Houghton, I forget how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Sam, but he's on our Discord and he's been adding event modeling to his tooling to allow these swim lanes and all that. So I've had some chats with him, and he's kind of been engaging with the event modeling community to kind of build out that tool. So as always, like every year, there's more and more work being done for supporting event modeling in terms of how we can get these things done much quicker. And so, of course, I'm looking to AI to help you. So in these types of tools, so just like we have auto completions done by Cursor AI or Copilot or whatever, you can imagine that if AI kind of looks like, oh, you're doing a conference automation software, and I could go to the next slice and it could suggest to me, what's on the next screen and what's in the command or the state view and all the other things. And I was just having a chat yesterday actually with Matt Bishop, one of our advisors, that hooking into AI and LLMs, the story-like structure of this is incredibly powerful because guess what happens with large language models and AI? You're always looking for the next word in the sentence, right? Well, guess what you're looking for here? You're always looking for the next step in the workflow. So they fit like hand in glove, and so it's just a matter of time before we have AI really doing all of this. If you feed the AI your conversation about your product or service, it should be able, at least through a variety of agents, and a bunch of external automation above, to do that, right? So, well, this is common sense, right? I mean, we all see this from all the AI that's happening out there. So, I really want to make sure that there's an open source thing that people can engage in, while all the other people like Sam and Yordis and whoever else is making a business out of it, that they can provide support for that, so they can make special ones. And I think the amount of insurance companies that we work with, we're probably going to make a special one that's for that industry, but it's based on the open source back kind of engine that we kind of want everyone to use, right? So at least that's my goal. And you just go to Google Trends, and if you type in event modeling and event sourcing, it's barely a blip. So we're at the very, very beginning of the adoption of this responsible way of treating information systems, and so there's plenty of room for everyone to succeed. And so that's why I'm really happy to help everyone out. I'm really happy to make open source versions of this. No one should be afraid of like, oh, if you're making an open source version of this, you're like killing the ability to make a company that does this. It's like, not at all. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, if you go down that route of thinking, you're going to go the way of NT servers, right? Their Windows servers are done. They're dinosaurs. They're out of the picture. There's a handful of things that are stubborn, and they're really just cost centers for Microsoft at this point. I think at least the NT business and the server business, you're not there for anything except to support one or two of your own products. And we don't want that to happen to event modeling. I don't want to have my company Adaptec to be like, oh, we own everything about event modeling. Event modeling is a notation, just like Linux is a kernel that's generic that everyone contributes to. This is a notation. This is a way of working, and that you can use or not. You don't have to ask me for permission to use it. Just get out your pencil and paper and draw the same thing. This is just a responsible way of drawing how information flows through a system. That's all. And so, yeah, good question. I'm glad that you asked that. But there's a lot of cool stuff. So as soon as I'm done chatting about what I'm going to do and actually do it and finish this, we can switch to developing that open source thing. I already have some code committed for that in a repo, but I've stepped away in December to kind of go back to this and finish this kind of to make a guinea pig project and to kind of walk people through event modeling and event sourcing ideas at the very basic level, just using files and a simple post and get web framework, nothing crazy like React and other things, so people can use it as a way to learn these approaches. So anyway, let's get back to it. So we have, yeah, I kind of want to have this also removed from here, and let's make this an item that we can paste here and move it over, at least move it over sideways. It's weird how it doesn't, I'm holding down shift and it doesn't keep the alignment, but whatever. Have to be exact. Ooh, what happened there? Control Z. I want to move this over. Okay, what's it doing? That is odd. Okay. It's strange. It's like, I think it wanted to like bind it to something automatically. Anyway, I just wanted this to be linked here, right? So that we can see that it's the same thing here. And yeah, the other thing that Jeffy Joe was talking about is like, yeah, these, I copy pasted this. So like if I change this, I should say this is conference name, state view or something. And then what I do, right? I have to search replace for everywhere in here, which is kind of a pain in the butt. And so this is, part of the tooling would be, okay, well, it has a reference to this particular thing that you're using here. So in other words, this is this welcome screen. Oh, this is not welcome. So this is a thank you for registering to. Yeah, whatever we wrote last time. I forget what we wrote, but thank you for. I think the proper grammar is at or to. I don't know. Kind of clumsy, but if someone has a better word for it. English is a second language for me, so if you have a better way of saying it, let me know. Thank you for registering at open spaces, to or at, whatever. Keep it at. But yeah, so this is part of the same slice as the one that we had before, the name state view. So we should probably check that out. I'm not sure if I made that, if I did that correctly. So this is in progress, but we wouldn't charge for this because this is the projection we're using here. And even so, you know what? Do we ever show the registration? Yeah, I think it's not free because we also need to use the registration ID because there is a projection that we're using to show. If we go to this URL, I guess we're only showing that. But this is stored and displayed. So, yeah, every time anything is shown to the user, we have to use a green box. So yeah, we'll copy that. I just want to see that we're on the right layer. Yes. So here we actually have a registrations. State view. Let's just look at that. And in registrations, we would have collections of things. So this is where we put our notation of our array. And over here, we would obviously have the bare minimum, well, not the bare minimum, but what we want to, if I wanted to say, so if I say, let's copy this formatted thing. Let's copy 2 characters. I'm paranoid about formatting getting copied correctly, so I want to just do that. And in here, say Adam. Thank you, Adam, for registering at Open Spaces, blah, 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 right? And here, registrations, we now want to have Adam. Oh, so we want to say reg ID. I know you're going to kick me for this because I'm always changing these names because I'm lazy and I want to type a lot. So, oh yeah, registering for, I don't know, I guess. It seems clumsy, even like I think for English speakers, it also is like, it's a thing, the same thing as like parking at rear or parking in rear. When you look at a restaurant, I always hated the in rear. It's like, you know, no one's going up your butt. It's like you're parking at the rear of the restaurant, not in someone's butt. That's why it's like, yeah, English is funny. So yeah, registration ID, we would have obviously the one that we registered with. So, and yeah, I think this is just text in here, so it's not going to copy any. But Jeffy Joe, nice to see you on a Saturday, being nerdy and geeking out with me. It's kind of cool. Give ourselves some more room. So yeah, these things we maybe I don't put another registration ID, and then of course my name, actually conference ID. So we have a registration that's for a conference ID, and now, you know, I kind of, do I really want to use this second one? I guess I could. I mean, that is the current one. That's a question that came up a lot, is yeah, at indicates a location, for would be the object. Yeah, I guess you're at an open source conference, so you can register at. It's still not clear to me. I don't know. Conference ID, we have this one here. Just copy that guy. And then, of course, name Adam, right? And now, do we also, you know, have a little conference name lookup that's associated with this, or do we just, you know, link this here? This is another one of those implementation details, because there may be other things that I want to change the name to for this screen that gives me independence. So there's a case here for, you know, the name and the conference name to be EM Open Spaces, and that this is actually feeding the whole page, and then we don't have to have this. And this allows us to not be coupled to the other stuff. So that's one of the key things that I mentioned, is that you really want to make these islands of independence for people. And by doing this, the implementation, may have a separate little set of lookups that it listens for, and I'll show you how to do that in this reducer, right? But if you're doing something that's not in a function, but you're doing something that's in a set of tables in a durable way of working, so this is where we would have a table called conference name lookup for registrations, and it would be a different table that would be conference names for welcome screen, right? We may run into some ways of wanting to display things differently, or whatever. For example, there's a slightly different concern for the name, because it only shows the name of the currently open conference. It doesn't actually have a list of them. But here we may, for some reason, not want to do that. And so this is why we would have that. So this is interesting. Jeffy Joe, if you haven't been following kind of like the latest on kind of what we're trying to do here is, I'm trying not to add any concepts like aggregates or entities, even value objects, or anything specific to domain-driven design, to object-oriented programming, to anything. I'm just saying, what is the info? Let's put that down on disk. Let's read all the info that we have off the disk and map reduce it to what we want to show. And let's see how these concepts that you're talking about, such as aggregates, etc., how they naturally fall out of doing a good job of keeping things not too coupled together. So we have an independent way of working with each of these slices, so that if you're working on one of these and I'm working on one of these, we're not stepping on each other's toes, right? And so that's kind of what we're after here. The register, if you see, if you haven't been following this, Jeffy, I'm assuming you're not. So if you haven't seen the previous ones, but everything is like in the event stream as an event. I don't know, you can't really read that here, but they're just files, right? Every single event is a file that's JSON serialized. I'm also adding some of the contents of the file into the file name, so it's easier to kind of just look at the file directory and see that, oh, that's when Adam registered, right? I'm not just looking like event ID blah 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 or whatever. So, but you have enough convention in there so you can extract a number and you can extract an event type out of the name, but then you can ignore the rest, which is just like helpful eye candy for you to kind of like look and see what's inside. Because if I open one of these, it has the regular type of thing where you have the type of event here, you got your conference ID, your timestamp, and event timestamp. I don't know why I have two here. That's kind of not needed, but whatever. We'll fix that. Just extra info. I think this was the command, and then we have the event timestamp. I don't know how we let that in. Probably the AI generated code shoved that in. I'm gonna delete it. But anyway. Yeah, so we'll get into that. So you're talking about like concurrency issues, like if things happen at the same time, how do you lock things down? So we'll look at how you lock things down, if you really want to lock things down, if you're allowing these things to occur together, and then you have a good convention of how you handle things that shouldn't have been there, but did happen at the same time, and eventual consistency because two, worker threads ended up writing at the exact same time or something like that. We'll explore that, and it's really, we'll really see how, our infatuation with database IDs and foreign keys and normalization really influenced us so heavily to really miss an opportunity to be at such a simpler level. So yeah, race conditions, all of these we'll explore, right? Right now I'm looking at just running an open source, an open conference, which is kind of like the unconference, where you don't have a agenda set, and when you get to the conference, you suggest topics and people vote on topics, and that's kind of done in like the first 15 minutes of the conference, and then the organizers spend another 15 minutes putting together the schedule, and everyone goes attends to the the talk or discussion that they're interested in, or that they themselves volunteered to show and present on. So that's the domain here. And so a lot of the questions that you're talking about, this concurrency stuff, like put yourself in the realities of running that. You probably have 50 to 200 people at these things, and they're all suggesting things at the same time. And a lot of these things are not super difficult to kind of give a way to resolve. So what are the most common concurrency problems that you're talking about? Some of them may be that two people have the same idea. Hey, I want to talk about versioning and event sourcing, and someone else might want to talk about not using upcaster functions. So I, as an organizer, can say, hey, listen, this looks like a concurrency issue of two people really wanting to talk about the same subject, but they're just slightly different names. They didn't vote for each other's things, or maybe they just wrote it down at the same time. They're too busy writing down their talk in the system, and they didn't notice that they were doing that, right? And it happens in the real world. If you're to do this with pen and paper, and people are going up to a whiteboard to put up their sticky with their subject, or they're lining up, they may hear that someone's wants to talk about something, and they might change their mind, or maybe they don't, and they suggest a similar thing. So yeah, we could explore some of those. Those are pretty easy. I mean, this domain is not going to be hard to solve these things, because we've been able to solve this with pen and paper, so making a digital version of this is not going to be too hard. Where we can start to really play around with better concepts is kind of like what Yurtis is working on, which is what's it called? The auctions, right? So auctions have a real problem with concurrency and limited inventory, obviously. So you're, in the last 30 seconds of an auction, you've got, some people use automation that, automates their browser to click things at the last moment and, refresh things. Same with ticket sales, for concerts. And those are the interesting ones where we can explore kind of how dissecting all this, even looking at it as a file at a time type of thing, you can still solve those problems without relying on, some heavyweight middleware or database tech. It's just good conventions that allow you to responsibly account for who took what action and who wins, who loses, and why, and then to also have enough understanding of this whole thing that you can legally back it up. If someone is sore about losing an auction and they come out and sue you as a company, you got to have the goods to say, here's the audit log of like exactly what our servers got from the external world and how we made the decisions to do X, Y, or Z. And so, I think this way it's a really good black and white kind of way of explaining, here's all the scenarios at those critical moments in time when these auctions are ending, and there's this, huge influx of information of bids that are competing, right? Right, yeah. So there's the banking transaction. Do I model this as a stream of actions that happen to one bank, to each individual bank account, or do I have this as a stream of transactions and you just have properties on the events of like, I've moved X amount of money from this account number to this account number, right? So obviously we can do all that, yeah. So, but yeah, we'll see how we can do both of those things here, and eventually I'll have some documentation that I'm working on that's going to explain all those concepts using event modeling instead of just random boxes and arrows that everyone just dreams up out of the blue. So I want to have some standardized event model diagrams of those situations so that people can have that as a canonical reference for event sourced things. And I think I don't know, Jeffy, if you've purchased Martin's book, but he's done a good job of establishing some of those things. There'll be revisions to it, obviously, but that book is a really good start for doing that. Oh, sorry, this is roll for D4 and Jeffy. So I'm looking at a green background on the chat here in my interface. And I confused um, two people's conversations here with one. But anyway, we're talking about the same thing at least. So sorry about that, Jeffy Joe, and roll 4d4. I just want to double check that I didn't miss any more messages here from anyone. Jeffy Joe and roll 4d4. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, roll 4d4. I don't know if you how familiar you are with event sourcing, but that is like one of the canonical examples of like what people ask for. How do you do like bank transactions, and do you store an individual event per account, or do you just store the fact that this transfer went through? And then what happens when you want to do two transactions at the same time? Maybe one person's at one bank, another person's at another bank, trying to do the same thing, or at least involve the same bank account, and you might run out of money if it's happening at the exact same time, right? How do you do this? This type of problem comes up also with these auctions where you don't have a single item, but you have X amounts. So it's these kind of weird, more dynamic auctions where you may have to have a reserve. It also happens with trading. If you have smaller trades versus larger trades, do you now pre-allocate small amounts of money from your account to have kind of a reserve of money for certain types of trades, and then when you want a larger one, you first have to ensure that you've deallocated some of the smaller ones out and put in this large amount for this larger transaction. So it's kind of neat to think of it that way. And if you think about it from a perspective of how you would do all this with pen and paper and manually, people running around from on the trading floor, from desk to desk, from person to person, how do you ensure what you have in reserve so that you don't overspend money from an account? It always helps to think about it from the manual perspective. How would you do this manually? Because you end up doing the same thing in the digital world anyway, just using different words and different concepts. So anywho, let's continue on with our tasks here, but I'm really happy to have those discussions too. So thank you for the input. So I think we're gonna just have this. We both have, maybe a different version of this name. We might have some further transforms of this name here, but this is kind of a nice way to show that. And of course, this registration is feeding this view here. Let me just move it up a bit so we can see there's a separate arrow. That looks good. So as we register, we see that this congratulations here, or thank you note is being displayed. And of course, we don't have, the URL is different. So let's just zoom in, because this URL, am I on the right thing here? Yeah, that's the event model. So what we're doing is we're showing the registration. So we'll just call this screen registration thanks, right? Makes sense. We're thanking the person for registering that. It's kind of a little bit overflowing, but I guess people know that these are URLs, so that's fine. And I'm happy to have the URL here. It is part of the UI if we're using a web app, so totally it is an implementation detail, but it's a visible one, so we need to have it here. Anyway, so that's kind of where that belongs. And then we also wanted to have the failure, and we know that this is actually here. So we can move that over, because we're going to have to show that here. And the close registration piece is going to be here. We'll move that over. And then this is just a continuation of our participant registration. So we just extend this arrow. And these arrows up here are just something that I like to use to show, when you zoom out, you can sort of see, what what each part of the diagram is explaining. So here's the participant registration portal management. We set up the sign up URL. This was our little experiment to show automation. And here we have the participants registering, scanning the QR code that the organizer shows on the screen at the conference, and then obviously going into the web browser from there. You know, mobile version, whatever, you can specify whatever you want. But then once you're doing that, it's off to the races for doing these things. So I don't think I will do the tests for this. We have enough tests here. The tests actually go through. Why am I not able to click on stuff? Progress. Can I do that? Okay, sometimes, okay, that's highlighting. Do I have to click on the... Why can't I click on these? This is very strange. Progress, event model. Okay. Did I lock? Oh, it's locked. Click on lock back. Okay. That's actually useful. Forgot to use the little lock thing because that would have saved me some stuff before, some issues. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, about, you know, where I have the failure here, I could just add another participant, right? I have 3 rows here for the users. So I have the organizer at the top row, I have the participant as the second row, and I have the systems guy as the third row. So, you know, to be perfectly thorough, I can show another participant that's just trying to guess at the conference, you know, URL, and they get that. But you know, I think people understand what's going on. So I can just say that this guy's just testing the system out, and then once he's registered, instead of clicking continue, they kind of do that. Or I could shove it in here. Oh, actually, I did that here. I actually already did that. I think we already did that. So yeah, they tried to do this here. So we don't have to do that. I forgot that we did it here. Conference you're looking for doesn't exist, right? So, okay. Yeah, because, yeah, we have that implementation here, and it just works off of this conference IDs thing. So I guess thanks for pointing that out. We don't have to do it. Oh, I know. Sorry. We wanted to... No, that's a different problem. We wanted to show a legit person registering too late. So yeah, we need another person. You're right. So in order for this event model to be correct, we need to basically, let's give ourselves some more room here, get rid of shapes, get rid of format, get rid of the file thing, just so we have more real estate. You can see the whole thing here. And again, this is why we want more more automation tools for event modeling, is that we want to have these things automatically done for us. So if I say, oh, add another user, like boom, it just adds another row across the whole thing. There's no selecting stuff and moving stuff, because I'm gonna have to like make all of these boxes here, like all of them, slightly bigger now, right? But yeah, so I could have another rando user trying to register here, right? And it's also interesting, like if the same user tries to go back to this, like do we have, we can ask ourselves the question, like, okay, if I registered, if I go back to this URL to register, do I have, do I have this default thing where I can type in another name and try to register? Do I allow that? Maybe I do. Maybe, that person doesn't like, maybe our workaround for like mistyping your name, it's like, oh crap, I mistyped my name. I kind of want to go back to this screen, type my name again, and register again, right? So yeah, so Roll4D4, it's sort of like UML, but UML is a little bit more thorough. UML is really getting into like modeling how many classes you're going to have, like the class diagram, and like the intermediate objects in a sequence diagram that are going to like help you do that. Event modeling is actually at a level above that. It just, if you look at a sequence diagram from UML, it's kind of like looking at the UI and the database and kind of enclosing everything that happens in between into either these blue or green boxes, and that's it. So yeah, very similar. I mean, I would say that aside those differences, I mean, there's also we try not to show many branching things, right? So yeah, definitely some some inspiration from a lot of different things. Part of it is also behavior-driven development. That's why there's not a lot of branching, because we really want to show one story going from left to right where you can follow the data. The minute you add branching into this, then like following data items is going to be super difficult, right? Because you're going to have to go down so many different paths, and it's just going to get really hard to kind of read and recall, right? Humans like stories. They recall stories a lot easier. So that's why this is always kind of like, here's an example of going through the system as best as possible without introducing, stuff like someone trying to register at the wrong time. But I kind of, for completeness sake, I could, like, to make it easier, from Jeffy Joe, yeah, the old spider web, yeah, everything's connected to everything, and you can make things really difficult. So to keep things simple and readable, you kind of want to have things moving from left to right with example data. And again, some of the details, we like, how can this screen kind of, fail? We have this specified that we have to reject something for something being closed. But what we don't have specified is what that screen looks like. I kind of want to throw this in here for that purpose. But Jeffy Joe brings up a good point, is that, okay, well, you're kind of adding something that this person wouldn't do or couldn't do because they're already registered, correctly for it. But, let's see. And of course, we already have, like, you're already registered. So, what we could say is, we might be able to add another thing here where there's, if I registered, but I do, I register with another name, that might mean that I want to, I'm not sure if this is correct. Yeah, but it's a different code, yeah, because it's checking on the name here. But yeah, if I want, like, if I don't have the same name, then I just want to drop my old registration code, and we could easily filter out registrations that people dropped because they didn't suggest or vote on any topics in the next stage here after after this is closed. Close registration. After we close the registration, then we can just say that, okay, from this point on, any of these things that are happening here, if there's a participant that is not suggesting any topics, etc., and any of that, then we just don't list them, right? We don't list their stuff. So okay, I may recall what you showed me once, but it's been so many event models that I've looked at since. So yeah, Jeffy Joe's been doing this for a while, so I know he's asking out of a good place, because yeah, some of these scenarios, come up with clients, like, where do you show this exception? And this is a good one, right? This is a good example. So, we might have the swim lane here for a rogue user, or a user that kind of shows someone trying to register too late, someone doing blah, blah, blah. And we want to, you can sprinkle those in, right? While everyone that made it in, before the registration deadline or timeline or whatever, your cutoff, whatever you want to call it, we want to maybe have one slice that shows the person that went out for a cigarette break and came back too late and they missed out, right? So that's kind of that's a valid question, right? So where would you put that? Yeah, we can definitely add this to that. And again, like Jeffy Joe says, it's kind of a pain in the butt with some of these, like the default canvas boards, because as I do this, I have to really eyeball this. Am I on the right level here? And I'm gonna select all these things, right? Actually, I have to select more. I have to, like, select everything from, like, here and like double check that everything's selected, because I think I like missed one thing here, right? This guy was just a little bit too high. So he didn't get selected. I have to do that. I have all these things selected, and now I have to like move them down, you know, bit by bit to make room for these extra screens, right? Pardon me. So now we have room, but then of course you see what happened. Like on these things, we gotta like say, okay, we gotta make more room for all of these, right? So at least some of these are like the same. Can do them all at once, maybe. Oh, I can't do them at once. That's awful. Okay. Whatever. Kind of want them to be here. I could group them and just do that, but whatever. That's good enough for now. I don't want to waste too much time playing with this stuff. So yeah, these things have to include like the swim lane here. That's the core of our... And of course, this one is causing issues here. This one's causing issues here. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, why do we need, you know, more event modeling tooling? It's because of, you know, these types of edits that we kind of don't want to do manually, right? Boop. Boop. This guy's still okay. All right. That actually wasn't that too bad, but it's not a complex system. Like if you had hundreds of these, like our production systems have like huge event models, that would be a pain. Yeah, so it's like the good old basic programming. Why do you have like each line number increasing in 10, right? So 10 print name Adam, 20 go to 10. It's because we want room for, you know, making 11 if I forgot a statement in between two statements. I now have room. Yeah, that sucks. It's not good. So yeah, this is say a participant registration failure. So we can have you know, so what are the names of these participants, right? We have, oh look, it's Joe, the organizer. Joe, looks like you're, or no, Jeff, sorry. Almost. Call him Jeff instead, maybe. So, you know, have Jeff, Joe, the organizer, Bob, the participant, and Eugene, the sysadmin. That's kind of where we show our to-do lists and other, you know, in the background stuff that no one can really see except someone that's maintaining the solution. So we can add another participant here. And, you know, in this case, I would probably want to bump down all of the things that the that this guy does, which is the sysadmin. I generally want that to be like somewhere down here, out of the way. And then, you know, a second participant. I mean, I should have moved this guy down as well, so whatever. It's somewhere down here. And you can copy him and then move him up to here. And then we call him like so we've got Bob the participant and Alice the evil person in those security examples. Or is Bob the one that's always listening in between? It's ABC, right? Alice, Bob, and Carl. I don't know. Alice the misfit. Someone, yeah. I guess we'll just call Alice is someone that's late to the conference. Let's turn back the progress thing here. And so when we look at the participant registration failure, so that could be like they go through, you know, the exact same steps as this person did. Let's turn off the progress again. Where they go through these screens. I hate to put it exactly underneath, but why not? can give ourselves even more room, right? To copy those, but then we have to move everything over. Ugh. Yeah, but they would have the same thing. So, you know, let's just, yeah, let's show that right below this. So control copy, control V, shift left, shift down. So this goes into their swim lane, right? They're just below. They're doing the exact same thing. And so, you know, we can stagger these. Oh God. And stagger these. I didn't know that was all of that in there. That's cool. Okay. Well, anyway, so both of these people have gone to the same URL because they're both attending the same conference, right? So this is kind of like this connection is not really needed, but I'm just kind of showing that, okay, where do they do this? Like they got this information from obviously someone showing that on the projector at the conference, right? So they also went through this way, but now they go, you know, they try to register. So, okay, so it's this thing here. Like, copy that. And then participant failure would be here. So paste it here, right? And so, and this would be, you know, I'm putting Adam here. So I might as well put Adam on the name of the actor. Over here. Since I'm the participant. And that makes more sense, okay? Oops. And then here, this is after the registration is closed, right? So then Alice tries to do this. And this is where we can say, okay, you know, that's kind of the screen that we want, but we want it to be different. And I think if we look over here, we can say that there's no registration, but we can say closed, right? And here we can just say registration closed. And they can go somewhere else, right? We don't need to keep them in the system at all. I mean, if you want to be nice, you can say sign up to our newsletter to find out about our future conferences or something, but whatever. For now, this is good enough. So just leave them here. And so, you know, this is, I mean, it's important to show that it's trying to send this command, right? And that this would, you know, have a different registration ID perhaps. FFF-AAAA or something. I don't know. Whatever. It's trying to register to the same thing. But it doesn't make it through. That's why there is no event, right? I mean, we could if we wanted to show all attempted, like, oops. If we wanted to show attempted failed registrations, then we would do that. And yeah, so let's take a look at what it looks like with the progress. So we have that. We can copy that, paste it, and move it over. We have that in progress. We really, you know, this is the same thing, like the same command, so it's not going to charge the client any extra money for this. But it looks kind of messy. Like I kind of want to move all this around, so move this over. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, let's turn off the progress again. Or, oh wait, I can just lock the progress. Let's do that. That's what that's for. Okay, good. And then of course this comes here, and then nothing happens, right? We don't have an event. This person is not registered. They're not going to be participating in any of these topic suggestions or things like that. So this kind of shows, you know, what we want. And the person that is implementing this, they know that this is done here, right? Registration is closed. You know, if we wanted to be correct about this, like thorough about this, we could obviously just put this on this line here. Is that not copying? Oh, I see. I need to be on the event model. Registration is closed. Copy that. Paste that here. Drag it over here. And there is no state view here for anything happening with failures. Not part of that information is not part of the system. So I think it's okay just to say that, hey, this thing is just leading you here. I mean, it's just, you know, you can handle that within the URL handlers or whatever. So, but it's part of our slice for registration, right? So we're kind of not done with our registration slice. Like if we check that out and continue to develop stuff, but I'm gonna have to come back to do that because a store is gonna close in half an hour. I gotta get out of here in the next 10 minutes to get there on time. So let's see, 1 second. Okay, so let's see what we can get done in 5 minutes here in terms of code. Yeah. So we did some gymnastics here with the canvas to make sure we can fill all of this stuff. We can see that we got the failure here, so we understand what it's supposed to look like. We're probably going to be obviously doing this thank you and this registration closed page, all as part of the registration. Actually, it's two different slices. Okay, so this one is the state view slice. This particular one, it's associated with the green, the work that's being done here. And this one is associated with this blue one. So we're going to have two slices that we have to check out and continue with. So let's do that. We actually haven't done this registration state view. So let's look at the branches that we have. Join conference. Oh, okay, that's fine. Register mustache. And so we are on the dev branch here. You can say show branches in latest print. I wonder if it's smart enough to do that. So it would be after the latest. All right. That's weird. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I don't think that would have been good, but what kind of does that actually work? That's a weird syntax for Git. I haven't seen that. Branch list. Oh yeah, interesting. They can actually just grep for it there. But then we do contains, and then we don't want that. We really want just sprint 3. That'll show us really? Git branch and then lists or just contains. Why does it have to do that? That's odd. Why can't they do contains? Huh. I thought I did this correctly last time. So contains. Oh, start to, not sprint to. Duh. Okay, start to. This is that contains start 2. Okay, so start 3. This is, yeah, we just have the register those 2 branches. So it's perfect. That's exactly what's currently being done. So git checkout. And then we can have let's do the state change. So let's throw the error on the closed one first, I guess. We'll do that. And so let's go to app.js and move this down a bit. I actually don't want to see the terminal at this point. And then we can go back to here and get that to draw our thanks, right? So we're going to have to redirect to that. So I'm going to have to go soon. And as soon as I'm gone, I'll come back and I'll continue with this. So we have that. Let's copy that. And we can just say new chat, get rid of that and say create a new view according to the image for successful registration. And adjust code to redirect. Okay, and that's all we have here. So let's now we need to modify the registration endpoint here. Okay, so here we have the registration success. So we'll apply that. Accept that. And then we have, now we need to modify the registration endpoint. We'll update the redirect to use the new success view. Should be this. Okay. I hope it's not trying to change too much code. Let's. I don't want it to do that. I want it to go to the app. Close that, and there's the app.js. So now we need to apply it here. Whoa. Conference name, state view. Okay, cool. So it's doing. It's actually in the wrong thing. We want the failure here. So this is actually, we're in the wrong branch. But anyway, I gotta go. I'm gonna fix this when I come back. So anyway, thanks for joining. I'll be back for, should be another half hour, if that, not much more, to finish these. But we did update the diagram, so I'm gonna just commit that. So our actual diagram here is updated. So if you want to look at this, I'm gonna push that up at least. And that again is it's in its own branch that we manage the diagram. So cd that, and then we can just say updated to show registration state change slice finished, which is wrong. So updated to show more screens or more pages for supporting the registration workflow. Registration workflow. Okay, so that's all up there. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Taking a break to go pick some stuff up from a store that's about to close.